Starting to come down. Well, there's snow. It's cold. Oh my gosh. Hi friends, I'm Amy and this is A Star Reads, and it's time for week 3 of Squash That Series. And would you believe it? I actually qualified. I'm still a competitor. I don't know how this is happening. It won't continue. I mean, maybe I can make it this week. I don't know. I'm competing against one of my great, wonderful friends, Natalie from Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe, and and Danielle. Danielle's one of Natalie's cheerleaders. Who else are Natalie's cheerleaders? Let me double check. Let's see. I don't know the other two people very well, or at least I know of them from this readathon, but I don't know them like I know Danielle. And I've got quite a few cheerleaders on my side, and I'm excited because this week we're doing tiers. I'm excited, but I'm nervous because the intention of tiers is to try and get all these prompts completed as soon as you possibly can, because you want to go up in ranking. So I did come up with a game plan last night for tiers if I was moving forward in the competition, like as an actual competitor, or if I was going to become a cheerleader. Cheerleader, I was just going to read whatever I wanted and try to fulfill as many of the prompts as possible, but make sure I read the books off my physical TBR. But because I'm a competitor, I am actually not reading books at the moment that are on my table because I have to win, right? I'm all of a sudden continuing to be very competitive. And maybe I can compete against Natalie today because it is a snow day. Snow is coming down a lot right now. And school's been canceled, so my sub plans have been canceled for the day. We're not going anywhere today. We're staying inside where it's nice and warm. And so I have time to read. In fact, I've already started. But before I get into that and telling you what my plans are, let me tell you about tiers. So if you want to know anything about this particular readathon, I will link everything down below so you can find out more about Bailey from Is Bailey Reading and Kayla from Kayla Ray Reads, our two main hosts for this readathon, Squash That Series. The intention is to squash series, and I'm squashing series. Like, I'm not necessarily, I did complete 2 series in the last vlog, but I had to add more onto my list that I've started. Well, at least there are more that I've started recently, and yeah, but I am making progress on my series, and that's all I can ask for. I'm continuing forward with my series. So first, let me tell you about the prompts. There are 10 of them, and I'll tell you my game plan for them. And oh, the other thing is you can double up on prompts. You can triple up on prompts. You can use a book for as many prompts as possible. Of course, some of these prompts don't work for multiple books, or at least, you know, there's limits. My goal is 4 books, but that will really depend on my cheerleaders and how much they're able to accomplish this week. So we'll see how that goes. But let me tell you about my plans at the moment. So the first prompt is restart a book number 1. So what I decided to do was restart A Psalm for the Wild Built by Becky Chambers. So I completed this book. I really enjoyed it. However, it will behoove me for this to be the book that I restart. It's a nice short novella, so that is great. And it'll help with other things further along. The next prompt is the second book in a series, and for that, I'm gonna read A Prayer for the Crown Shy, which is the second book in the series, and I haven't read it yet. So that works, now that I've got A Psalm for the Wild Built, Prayer for the Crown Shy. The third prompt is a final book in a series. A Prayer for the Crown Shy is the final book in a series. So far, those 2 books cover those 3 prompts. The fourth prompt is series most recently started. Now, this is Jade City, because I started that most recently, and I do want to read it and I want to continue reading it, but I don't know that I necessarily need to finish it in this week. And if that's one of the prompts I can erase because my cheerleaders are so amazing, that would be great. But I actually have other prompts I'd rather erase. So my goal is to finish A Song for the Wild-Built, Prayer for the Crown Shy, a couple other books before I have to put all my time into Jade City. But I do need to keep reading Jade City, so I need to make sure I'm keeping on top of that. Prompt number 5 is a sequel that's been on my TBR the longest. So, the Anita Blake series by Laurell K. Hamilton has been on my physical TBR the longest, and I'm rereading it. And so I'm counting that because it works. And the third book in that series is Circus of the Damned, and this is by Laurell K. Hamilton. And I do plan on reading this one, and it has physically and on my Goodreads been on my TBR the longest as a series. Prompt number 6 is a sequel that was published in 2021. A Song for the Wild-Built was published in 2021, so that works for this prompt as well. That's perfect. Then I got randomize my series. And so I took all 98 of the series that are on my list. Even though there are less, I still did 1 through 98 just to keep it easy. And if it was gonna land on one of the ones that I've already DNF'd or finished, I would respin. But here's what I got. And let's go see what series that is. Okay, so let's see what number 48 is. And if it's one of the ones that I've either DNF'd or finished, I'm going to respin. Okay. Maybe I can get that as an audiobook. Okay, so I actually really loved Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. When I moved to Texas, my friend gave me a copy of it because she loved it. And she's like, well, now you're moving to Austin. Here you're going to read this book. And I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did, but I really loved it. So I wanted to continue the series. And the next one is Streets of Laredo. And I was thinking, oh, well, I could listen to this as an audiobook and it'll work for another prompt, hint, hint, later on. But the thing is, the audiobook for Streets of Laredo is 21 hours. And that does not help me get through this super fast. So when my cheerleaders come through for me and they get their first 3 prompts that they've completed, I get to wipe off 1 prompt from my board. The randomize my series is going to be the first one to go because I need to get that Streets of Laredo off of here. As much as I would like to read it, listen to it, I don't have the time for it. So strategically, that's going to be my first prompt that I wipe off the board. So as fun as it is to tell you that this is a book I need to read at some point, I am not going to be reading this during this round. Please, cheerleaders, please. I don't need to read this right now. Prompt number 8 is to listen to an audiobook of a sequel. And so I've picked up the 6th book in the Wayward Children series, Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan and McGuire. And that's what I'm currently listening to, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm about 20-something percent, 26% of the way through that one right now. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a little bit after I finish telling you about what's going on this week. Prompt number 9 is to read an entire duology or trilogy. So as you can imagine, I'm going to be using A Song for the Wild-Built and Prayer for a Crown Shy because this is a completed duology. At least at this point, we haven't heard anything about any more books coming out. And that is going to work for my entire duology. So those 2 books are essential to getting this list completed. And finally, for prompt number 10, read a sequel to a book you gave 5 stars. And because I love the series so much because it's so nostalgic for me, but it's also so much fun and I just eat them up like candy, I gave The Laughing Corpse 5 stars. And so I'm going to count Circus of the Damned by Laurell K. Hamilton for this one. So my plans are to finish A Song for the Wild-Built and Prayer for Crown Shy first, and then to read Circus of the Damned. And if I'm lucky, once those are completed, and I have had help from my cheerleaders, then I won't have to worry about anything else because at that point, hopefully, it'll all be done and I'll have reached my tier and then I can just worry about reading Jade City for my Bookstar read-alongs. So that's my plan. Let's hope it goes well. So here's the tier board, and as you can see, as I complete prompts, I'll go up on the tier board, and I want to make sure I squash it, get to that 10 prompts as quickly as possible, because I'm sure that Natalie's team is going to be going as quick as they can to try and get to the top. So let's talk about Across the Green Grass Fields, because I am just getting into this, and I'm really loving the audiobook. I think it's one of the lower rated of the books in this series, but at the moment, it's shaping up to be one of my favorites, at least at the moment. I'm really, really enjoying this. And this is all about a girl named Reagan who actually grows up in a very happy childhood at first. And a lot of the kids that go to these different places within the portal worlds have a really difficult childhood, and they're trying to get away from the life they've been leading. Whereas Reagan has a lot of support from her family. She is well loved. She's got a tight friend group, But there are issues in that friend group, and those issues cause Reagan to make choices that will affect her later on. And she finds out something about herself at one point that she accidentally relays to her closest friend, who is an awful person, an awful kid, causes huge problems that she's trying to run away from. But she's not actually trying to leave her life. That's the thing. But she finds a door and she goes in, and she's a lover of horses, and it is in a horse world. And so far, and I hope this remains to be true and that they don't flip-flop these characters, but so far there's this character named Pansy, who is a centaur, and I love Pansy. This is one of my favorite characters I've read about so far. Just every single time Pansy talks and I hear more about Pansy, I'm just like, oh, I love this character, it's so cute. So I hope that it continues to be a fun, enjoyable story, but there's always darkness in the Wayward Children series, so I have no clue what's gonna happen. But at this point, I'm loving it. I'm over a quarter of the way through. I'm gonna get this audiobook done today. And then I'm gonna get A Psalm for the Wild-Built done as well. I've gotta work on that. Actually, I'm gonna go and start reading that now while Mom watches my Advent Calendar Challenge video so I can get that posted today. So that's my plans. It's a lot. I know this is a lot. Big intro. But I wanted to make sure you had an idea of what I was doing. I don't know if I want to win, honestly. I'm like, Amy, every single time you win, you're like stressed because the pressure, and I am competitive, but I also know my abilities as a reader. And if I end up winning and I get matched up to the person who I would be matched up to next week, there's no way. There's no way. This is like the scariest person in the tournament. So I've got to enjoy this week for what it is, my last week of actually being a competitor. Or if I have a week next week for being a competitor, it will be my last week of being a competitor and I won't have a chance. So just enjoy it. So that's where we're at right now. I'm enjoying sitting here and looking at the snow falling. It's very peaceful and lovely. And I'm gonna go read. Ready. Now she's really ready. You ready to go outside? What a good girl. Isaac loves the snow. He's been ready. Come on, let's go. Here. Here, I'll make a path for you. Come on. Come on. Come on. Cece. Cece, come on. She's like, oh, heck no. Cece, come on. Here. You can walk in my path. Put it the wrong direction. So we got 4.5 remaining. So we got 7.5 inches of snow right now. That's where we're at. 7.5 inches. It's only 12:30, well, Pacific Standard Time on the first day of the competition, and somebody has already finished their tiers. And if I were to win this week, which looking like I don't know if that's gonna happen. If I were to win this week, I'd be going against them. So I'm like, ah! How is that? There's, That's frightening. There's no way that I guess I should be better at picking up mangas and stuff like that. Oh well, I've got my game plan. I'm sticking to it. Hopefully it's a better game plan than Natalie's game plan. So it's still the first day, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and the second person is already completed. So 2 brackets have already been claimed. And there's only 4, as mine is one of the 2 remaining, and I'm not anywhere close. I haven't got 1 point, let alone all 10 points. I have no clue how this is gonna happen. I don't know how people do this. I don't know how people do this. It's frightening. It's frightening. I'm going to keep going with the plan I have because it's what I can do. It's the best I can do. And the thing is, if Natalie beats me, then she gets to face the really scary Danielle next week. I don't have to. So, yeah, frightening. This is, my heart rate's up. Okay, it's 5 p.m. on day 1. Hey, it's Editing Amy here, and whatever I said to try and explain this, I pulled out because it didn't make any sense. So, the 3rd bracket had been determined at this point. So there were 4 total brackets that were like in the game still, and 3 of them had been determined, and the only one remaining was the one that Natalie and I were fighting over. And so that's where we were at this point. And I was just freaked out because it was still the first day. I haven't even submitted 1 thing. Oh my gosh, what is this? What did I get myself into? This is so stressful. So stressful. I'm getting close to having Across the Green Grass Fields done, but I'm about 50%, maybe a little more than 50% through A Psalm for the Wild Built. And I keep telling Natalie, like, hurry up, finish it up so I can get on with other things. And she's like, but I have other things I want to do too. So, I don't know who's going to win between Natalie and I, but I'm sure, considering all these other teams have already finished their matchups, I can't imagine it's going to be me. This is wild. This is too much. This is too much. Okay, so it's 5:30 in the evening, and I have finally submitted my first book, and it worked for 2 prompts, so 8 to go. I have finished Across the Green Grass Fields by Seanan McGuire. This is the 6th book in the Wayward Children series, and honestly, I was really loving this book, and I was thinking, oh, this might end up being a favorite for the first half of it, maybe even 2/3. Yeah, maybe even 2/3 of it. I was really, really loving this one, but for some reason it petered out for me, and I just wasn't enthusiastic about the ending at all. It was kind of like, that's what happened? That's how we end this story? That's kind of how it felt to me when I was reading it. And I don't know if that's because I was trying to get it done quickly, but I don't think so. I think that this one was really hitting it hard for me in a really great way for a good portion of it. And then it didn't amount to what I had hoped or to something that would make me feel satisfied with it for some reason. I'm still going to give it a 3.75 stars. That's the same as I gave the first one, Every Heart a Doorway. But I still really enjoyed so much about this, and I really liked this character, Reagan. I thought she was very interesting. I liked all the horse elements to it. I liked this place, and there were a lot of characters in this that I really enjoyed. But I just don't quite understand the dynamics of the characters in this place, and I don't understand the ending and how that is supposed to make me feel other than unsatisfied. Now I'm going to put all my effort into working on A Psalm for the Wild Built to get that one done, hopefully in the next couple of hours. And I'm currently about 64% of the way through that one, so it shouldn't take me too long. I was thinking about what I should listen to next as an audiobook, because it's been helping me to listen to an audiobook when I'm doing other things that I need to do that don't include reading physically. And I found an audiobook copy of Circus of the Damned by Laurell K. Hamilton. I'm going to get that audiobook because it's a long one. It's 10 hours, so I definitely won't be able to listen to the whole audiobook because I need to get that book done at some point. But I can listen to as much of it as I can before I end up picking it up physically, because before I get to Circus of the Damned, I need to get to A Prayer for the Crown Shies, which is the 2nd book in the Monk and Robot series. So I'm going to finish A Psalm for Wild Built, I'm going to finish Prayer for the Crown Shy, and then I'll physically pick up Circus of the Damned. But if I've already listened to it for a few hours, then I won't have as far to go when I'm reading that. And that's my game plan for now. just waiting for Natalie to decide that she's gonna beat me and and submit a whole bunch of books, because everybody else seems to be finishing all their prompts in one go. I'm trying to keep up with all these people who can compete so well, apparently, with this readathon, or these readathons. Yeah. Okay, so I just submitted my second book. I finished A Song for the Wild Built, and technically this only, well, I was only able to submit it for 1 point, which was reread the first in a series. But it technically works for 1.5 points, because once I finish A Prayer for the Crown Shy, this will work for an entire duology. So it's 1.5. And it would have actually worked for a book that was published in 2021. However, I was already able to use Across the Green Grass Fields for that. So technically I have 3 points officially, and I have 3.5 points as far as the way I'm counting things. So as I mentioned, I was gonna start Circus of the Damned by Laurell K. Hamilton on audiobook, and I did, and I got like 3 to 5% through that one, not very far. Then when I went to get the ebook copy of A Prayer for the Crown Shy, it was $12. And I can't find it anywhere else. And at the library, I have it on hold, but it's not gonna come for a while because the libraries have been closed because of snow, and because I need it right away so I can start working on that, because this competition is, it's like a now competition. It's not a wait until the hold comes in competition. So in one of the previous weeks, I had put that audiobook down as a soft DNF because I was like, ugh, just having a really hard time focusing on it. However, because it was $12 and I don't want to pay for an ebook that's $12, because the actual hardcover is like $15, might as well just get the hardcover. Anyways, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to try the audiobook again. And maybe it'll help because I just finished A Song for the Wild Built. Maybe it'll help because I'm going to try and prioritize that book, so it's not just like an audiobook I'm adding on to my TBR, or an audiobook I'm trying to get in. It's more like, this is the book I have to finish. And so hopefully then I'll be able to focus on it a little better. I don't know that I'm going to work on it tonight. Maybe I will. But at the moment, I don't know if I'm going to really start with it. I think I'm going to start with this and just work on this because I need a break from audiobooks for a little bit. This will take me a while to get through, and I can't win feasibly if I don't finish both of these books. So I definitely need to read this one as well. How'd your appointment go?
Ooh, they took out my staples. Yay! Oh, that's why.
You okay?
I heard. Yeah.
Hi, is it? Still snowing pretty good. Okay, so we've been to the doctors, we're back, everything is looking great with Mom, and I was able to complete A Prayer for the Crown Shy, and at this point, so far, we're on our, is this just the second day of this week's challenge? So far, I'm still in the competition, and with the Prayer for the Crown Shy, I was able to knock off 4 prompts because it worked for second book in the series. It also worked for final book in the series because it's just a duology. This one, alongside A Song for the Wild Built, helped me complete the entire duology prompt. It was also a book that followed a 5-star read because when I reread A Song for the Wild Built, I gave that one 5 stars. So I was able to knock off 4 prompts with that, which means that I'm at a total of 7 prompts. Really good. Really, really good. I'm very excited. I'm in a good position, and even if Natalie does win, at least I'll look good. Like, you know, 7 prompts out of 10 is really good. So now I've got 3 prompts that I got to continue on with. The first one I'm going to be focusing on is book that's been on my TBR the longest, sequel that's been on my TBR the longest. And for that, I'm going with Circus of the Damned, as I already mentioned. So I'm only 22 pages in this one. I haven't read that much, but this is what I'll be focusing on completely right now. And I'm hoping because this is a reread and because it's an action-packed book, I will be able to make fairly good progress in this one today. At the moment, my main focuses are Circus of the Damned first, which will give me 8 points total. And then if I can finish Jade City by the end of the week, that'll give me 9 prompts. So yeah, I'll just do what I can. I'm just going to keep trying. That's what I do. That's what I've been doing this whole time, is just keep plodding along, doing what I can. I am getting tired of reading. I'm getting really tired of reading. I just feel like that's all I've been doing lately. And, oh, so let me talk about Prayer for the Crown Shy. I really enjoyed this one, and yet I will need to reread this book because as much as I liked it, it's a harder book for me to enjoy as an audiobook. But I think it's okay because it was so quick to reread A Psalm for the Wild-Built. I can see myself rereading A Prayer for the Crown Shy at some point soon, and then really being able to enjoy it even more, and be able to think about some of the more in-depth conversations that are had in this one, which is true for the first book, which is why I think I gave the first book a 5-star on a reread, because I was able to focus more on the philosophical elements of it. And this is true for Prayer for the Crown Shy. It's not any different. We're continuing on the journey, the story where we left off with the first book, and one of the big intentions of this is to better understand some of those internal thoughts, internal desires, internal arguments we have with ourselves that we don't necessarily know how to answer. And sometimes questions are really hard to answer, those kind of questions. Those like, what do I really want? What do I need in my life? What is going to make me happy? And just to know that it's okay to have these questions and not everybody's going to know the answer to them. And we're not always going to feel 100% satisfied with our lives, even though we may have everything we need. I just thought that was a very interesting look into the way that we think. And I also love the biology elements in this one, especially this one more so than the first book, I think. Mosscap, our robot friend, really loves biology. He's a big fan of insects and bugs and all kinds of different, like his fascination with everything he comes across. To me, I love that. I love that level of fascination because I do feel that way when I'm learning something new or when I'm experiencing something new. And I really enjoyed seeing that in Mosscap. And then, of course, reading all the elements of this that were focused on biology, because I do love learning more. And then also just having those elements added to stories that I read. I think that's also why I enjoyed like books like Remarkably Bright Creatures, The Island of Missing Trees, these books that add those science elements to the fiction aspects of the story, but bring in this information that I just find either fascinating or new knowledge. I love that. Things have turned. I am not able to use Jade City as the series I most recently started because it's the first in a series. So with that clarification though, I am able to use A Prayer for the Crown Shy for a series I most recently started because I just reread A Psalm for the Wild-Built. I don't know why my brain didn't go there. But as it turns out, it works for 5 prompts. A Prayer for the Crown Shy works for 5 prompts. And so I was able to use that, and now I only have 8 prompts to go. Nope. I have 8 prompts finished. I only have 2 prompts to go at this point. So fingers crossed that I will get this one finished quickly and then hopefully get number 10 wiped off for me so I don't have to worry about it. And then I could maybe win if I can get this done before Natalie does whatever she needs to do. And I don't have to read Streets of Laredo. It's 547 pages. Like that would not, it's not a winning thing for me. That's just not going to happen. Good morning. It is Friday. Another snow day for the schools, which means that I don't have any work. And that's okay because I need to finish this challenge. I'm 81% of the way through Circus of the Damned, so I'm getting close. I'm getting close to finishing that book. And then I'll only have 1 prompt left, holding on to hope that my cheerleaders will be able to come through so I don't have to read Streets of Laredo. Because like I said, 547 pages, 21-hour audiobook, it's just not going to happen before Natalie can get things done. Although I just saw on the Discord that she asked if she could DNF a book and that would still count. And I'm like, but I can't DNF a book because I don't have a book to DNF. She has to get 50% of the way through that one. She's 46% of the way through. So I'm like, gotta keep reading. But it really doesn't matter if I can't get that last prompt done. So is this the last book that Natalie needs to finish the whole Tears? Like, I don't know. So that's what's stressful is like, I don't know anything about where she's at with her progress. So I'm like, just need to get this one done. But then no, it doesn't matter because I still need to get that 10th prompt done. So we'll see what happens. I wish I had randomly chosen a different series, or I wish I had narrowed it down to series that, what was I thinking? I should have done it to books that I own. Even then, I have some books that are really long. So I don't know if it would have made much of a difference. But yeah. I don't know what to say. I'm like very nervous because I have no clue what's going to happen. So we'll see where we're at. As far as Circus of the Damned goes, this is the third book in the series. I don't think I talked about it at all since I've started it. And really, this is the same situation that Anita Blake has been in for the last 3 books. Not the same situation, but the same concept, where she's dealing with the master vampire, the master of the city, and she is an executioner, so she really doesn't trust vampires. But this particular book has a lot more to do with the vampires and the balance of power within the city. And so we're looking at all these different, actually there's quite a few master vampires in this particular one. It always comes down to the fact that Anita still hasn't gotten enough sleep. She gets beat up like crazy, but then still has to keep pushing past the limits that her body can handle. And that's what it always is. It's always Anita not getting enough sleep and also getting totally beat up. But in the end, she always saves a day, or somebody helps her save the day. So I'm sure everything's going to be fine. In fact, I've read this series before, so I know that everything's going to be fine. But it's funny and fun. And yeah, I don't know that this one's my favorite of the series so far. I think that might have been true the first time I read this series, that this third book was... I still enjoy it, don't get me wrong, but I think I like the first 2 better. And so we'll see how it ends. And I'm going to continue on and finish at least my 9th prompt. Even if I don't win, I'll have made a really, really good effort. Well, the competition is over and I have lost. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. Actually, it's a good thing because Natalie's cheerleaders got her 3 points. So that's amazing. And that DNF is what helped her out. So yeah, it was great that she was able to pull through. And next week I will be cheerleading for her against Danielle from Danielle Reads. I think it's Danielle Reads. And I hope that she'll be able to pull through next week. For now, I've got 30 pages left. 30 pages left until I would have my 9th prompt. But then I still would have had to have the 10th prompt. So I probably wouldn't have made it in time anyways. So now I can just finish this, enjoy the rest of the day, start working on Jade City, and have nothing left to stress about. Then tomorrow I'll be doing the challenge day because I think that'll be fun. All right, so it's the end of the day, and I finished Circus of the Damned quite a bit earlier today by Laurell K. Hamilton, and I'm going to give this one 4-star. And the reason I'm giving it 4 stars is because it's just not my favorite of the series. I enjoyed it a lot. It still has those nostalgic feelings. It still moves the plot along. It still brings in characters. In fact, one of the characters I really enjoyed that not everybody enjoyed later on, Shell. It brings in some new characters and it continues to establish relationships with characters. However, for whatever reason, this one is just not my favorite of all the series. And this one has a lot to do. The snake is very important in this. There's a lot to do with that. There's vampires, there's werewolves that we've met so far at this point. There's all different types of were-animals, but we don't really get into more were-animals until later on. And in this one, there is a lamia, which I guess is some ancient snake creature that I know nothing about. The audiobook was okay. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't amazing. And I did listen to the audiobook quite a bit today, especially while I was trying to do other things, but make sure I got my reading in. So I finished Circus of the Damned, and it's still such a fun series for me to be reading from. I hit a point today where I was just like, it's a lot of consecutive reading. I've been reading a lot for the last couple of days. So I'm glad that the competition for me technically is over with. I'm just here as a cheerleader and I get to cheer on Natalie going forward, and I get to cheer on whoever wins the next round, but I don't have to stress quite as much, which I felt, I was enjoying myself, but it was definitely a lot of work and it was stressful. And then after I finished this, I rewatched the whole first season of Bridgerton. So I just felt like binging a TV show, and it was nice to just be watching TV and not have to worry about reading, and I just needed an evening, I think, to just binge. So I did, and that was really fun. It was really wonderful to rewatch that one. I'm anticipating the next season coming out in May. Like, why does it have to be May? But I've been thinking, since the next season's coming out in May, and I'm going to rewatch season 2 and then the Charlotte story, I might try and read the books before the next season comes out. I don't know if I'll be able to do it, but I have quite a few months to do it in, and I think it'll be the 3rd book that the next season is focused around. So maybe I can get those read and get that 3rd book read before May. Maybe. I'm not gonna hold my breath. But I've been enjoying my Bridgerton day a lot. Tomorrow is a challenge day, which is really, really fun. I participated in the last one, And it's basically a whole day where every hour on the hour, Bailey randomly chooses a challenge that we have to do. And since I'll be moving forward with Jade City, that's the book I plan on using for challenge day. And Bailey said first in series will work for challenge day. So that works perfectly because that's the book I plan on reading until we find out what week 3 is, what game we're playing for week 3. Good morning! It is challenge day! And I'm very excited about this. I didn't wake up at 6 a.m. to do the first couple challenges. I woke up at 8. And the challenge for 8 a.m. was read a book until you meet a new character. So I had started The Duke and I last night because I couldn't help myself. And I had already read the prologue. And I was just about to start chapter 1. And in chapter 1, you meet the Bridgertons. All the Bridgerton siblings is right there. It's talking about the Bridgertons. And you got Anthony, Benedict, Colin, Daphne, Eloise, Francesca, Gregory, and Hyacinth. So it only took me a few seconds to get that challenge completed. And I'm actually going to put this down for now because I really need to be working on Jade City. So come the next challenge, which should start in about 10 minutes-ish. Oh, less than 10 minutes. When I get the next challenge, I'll actually be working on Jade City. So got to focus on that book, which I really want to read. It's just, I was wanting to pick this up because I just watched this first season. So I was like, oh, I got to pick it up. And I started reading it last night and I was like, oh, this is so fun. I want to read this. And I do want to read it. But I need to focus on Jade City, which I really want to read too, so I'm not feeling bad about this. I'm spoiled for choice at the moment. Okay, just got the next challenge, and it's self-care reading, which means go and do something for yourself while you're reading, or you can stay around the house and do something for yourself. However, I need coffee, and we are out of beans and stuff, so we're going to go get some Starbucks and maybe get some food items there as well. And on the way, we're going to listen to Death Around the Bend. I think that is what it's called. I'll put it up right here. And this is by T.E. Kinsley. This is the 3rd book in the Lady Hardcastle series. So I'm continuing on with the series. And I'm looking forward to this because this is a fun, cozy mystery series that I've been enjoying so far. And I love the audiobooks for these. So I know this will be a good audiobook for me to pick up. And my goal is just to read as much as I can of whatever series I pick up this week. Meaning week 3 before we go into week 4. And I won't finish anything this week because the round is already over. I already lost. But I want to save all my finishing books if I need to for the next round. And that's a strategy I've seen all the other teams use that I should have used myself. I don't know why I didn't think about that, but it's clever. There's still snow on the ground. It's getting really icy. Self-care commencing. Here's my flat white, and we got some goodies, and we got a pup cup for Cece, and Mom got a pistachio latte.
Tastes good.
Okay, so the next challenge is to read the sequel or the book that you are furthest along in. So I went through all the books that I am currently reading, and the one that I'm furthest along in is Catching Fire. I'm 25% of the way through this one. I've got to finish my 10 minutes before the time is up, and we're getting close. So we'll see how far I can get in this one. It won't be very far. I mean, I've read like a page or two already with the first 5 minutes, and then I'll get this done and find out what my next challenge is. Okay, so the next challenge was to explain whatever book I'm reading to someone in real life. And I just finished explaining the first part of Catching Fire to Mom and Jordan. I did my challenge. Now I'm free until the next hour. That was actually pretty good. So I'm probably going to do some other stuff in the meantime until I go back to reading when the next challenge comes about. But that was perfect. That was a nice little don't have to read challenge. So what'd you think of Catching Fire?
Oh, Amy made it sound amazing. Like, I want to read it.
Yeah, I want to read it too.
I have other stuff that I have to read. But maybe after those 4.
She's reading the Lunar Chronicles right now. She's in love with it. So yeah, you've watched all the Hunger Games books, but you haven't read them. You need to read them. So
yes,
that's definitely going to have to happen.
Books are always better.
Yeah. Okay, so it is now 12 o'clock my time. 12:10 actually, so I better get moving. The next challenge could be a long one. So this one is to read, and at the end of each chapter you get to, if it's an even number, you keep reading until you get to the next chapter. If it's an odd number, you switch over to a different book and read at least 5 minutes into your switched book. So I won't be done until I get to an odd number and am able to switch and read for 5 minutes in whatever book I've switched to. So these are pretty short chapters in Jade City, but let's hope I get some odd numbers. Otherwise, if I don't get this one done by the time 1 o'clock comes around, then I may not get this point. Let's hope that this chapter ends in an odd number. I'm currently on chapter 10. So let's see how far I get. Okay, so I got that challenge point. The chapter that I was reading for Jade City finished on page 99, and then I switched over to my audiobook so I could do a couple of things and listen to that for at least 5 minutes. I actually listened to it for closer to 7 minutes. And then I wanted to do some video editing, so I'm going to work on that until the next prompt drops. We'll see what that is. I could have kept reading and kept switching back and forth, but I would like to make some progress on some other things today, aside from reading, even though I want to do this challenge. Like, I'm excited to be here doing it. Okay, ready for the next challenge, and it is to read until you get to a color, which color works out really well, especially because this is Jade City, and these people are called Greenbone. I'm sure I'll hit green pretty soon. Also, color often works for describing things. So, let's see how far I get. I'm in chapter 11. The very first sentence of this chapter, it says, "The ZT Valor pulled over to the side of the curving boulevard and let Andon out in front of the wide green space next to the handicraft marketplace in the Temple District." So I didn't even get to read a whole chapter and I was done. Okay, I think I forgot to update you on the last 2 challenges. So for the last one, Bailey checked to see who was all in the chat. She randomly chose one of those people, who was Tara, and we had to read until Tara finished her chapter. So I didn't get completely finished with my chapter, but I did read until Tara finished her chapter, and I haven't been making that much progress in this today. Like, today was my, oh, I'm going to read Jade City day. I haven't been reading that much because I've been editing my vlog and just doing the bare minimum with these challenges. Well, not completely. I've definitely read longer than the 10 minutes that some of them call for, but I haven't been reading that much. And then this past challenge was just to switch books. So if you're reading one book, say this is the book that you're reading, which was Jade City for me, then you switch to a different book that you weren't just reading. So then I switched over to The Duke and I, and I'm enjoying it. It's definitely different. So I'm excited to be reading this and get into it because there's a lot of differences already that I can see from this book and the season 1 series. And I think this is just what I feel like reading right now. I feel like reading this romance. I feel like having something like this on my plate. But I am, of course, enjoying Jade City. So I want to get back to this, and I will get progress. I have to get this done by Friday. So I will get this done by Friday. I will get it done by Friday. But today I'm just kind of feeling this, you know? Okay, so the final challenge is to read until you see a food mentioned in the book. So I'm going to continue on with The Duke and I, and they're currently at a ball, so let's hope that there's some food that's mentioned pretty early on. But I have an hour. Although, to be honest, our team already qualified. We needed 70 points to be able to steal a cheerleader from the other side. Well, we don't steal them. We just steal their points. They get to stay with their team, but we'll get to take the points that they make for their team and apply it to ours. And we already did that. If your team got 50 points, you randomly selected a cheerleader from the other side of the bracket. But if you got 70 points, which we did, you got to choose. So we chose Nessa. Hello, it is Sunday, and I haven't checked in since Challenge Day ended yesterday because, well, I wanted to binge season 2 of Bridgerton, so I did that. It was fun. Definitely have been lazy the last couple of days, but my cough is coming back and my congestion's getting worse, so I'm a little frustrated. However, tonight we're staying at the Swinomish Casino because one of the gifts that Mom and I wanted to give each other this year was an activity. So the activity that I'm doing for my mom is coming in February. So we don't get to do that one quite yet. But Mom's activity was to stay a night at the Swinomish Casino so we can have some fun, eat at a nice restaurant, and do some gambling, because why not? It's gonna be a lot of fun. And so that was her event that we were doing. And she had gotten a gift card for here on one of the elder trips she'd gone on. So we're like, two birds with one stone. Let's have a good time and be able to use that. So this is very exciting. We're gonna have a wonderful night. We get to relax. I have to read Jade City, so I'll be reading that. I didn't bring any other books with me. As much as I want to read Bridgerton right now, because I'm just kind of on a thing right now with Bridgerton, I have to read Jade City, and I'm really enjoying Jade City. I'm just kind of burnt out from reading, and so let's hope that since I'm here and we're just gonna be relaxing, I get to enjoy that. And then we went to the Old World Deli and had an amazing late lunch. It was so good. It was exactly what I needed. And so we're not really hungry right now. So I don't know if we're gonna actually get a full dinner or anything like that, but we'll definitely have a really good breakfast tomorrow morning. We wanted to go to the fancy restaurant tonight, but it's just not gonna happen. We're just not hungry. So we'll save that for another time we come visit Swinomish. And this is what our room looks like. We have an ocean view, and there's a mama coming out of the restroom. So this is what it looks like. There's me. Here's our view. It is the final day of week 3, round 3 of Squash That Series. And this evening at 5, my time, we're gonna find out what the next game is we're gonna play. And I usually, at least I have been live with these announcements the last few weeks, but tonight I'm going to the gym. I'm meeting Jordan. We're gonna go either to the gym or go for a walk, some kind of exercise. We both need to get back into more movement, especially because I've been sick for so long. I've just been neglecting that part, and I think I really need it. So we'll be doing that at 5, but then I'll get to find out what the next game we're gonna play is, and I'll do some strategizing at that point. So we had a wonderful overnight stay in Swinomish. It was just relaxing and great, except for I was pretty sick that night. So that was a bit of a bummer. I have made an appointment today to go see a doctor because, like I said, the cough has come back, the congestion's gotten worse again, and just having some other symptoms that I'm like, it's just not getting better. I'm just not getting better. And I'm quite frustrated. So luckily I was able to get an appointment. I called first thing this morning, and I'm going into that very soon. So I feel good about that. Now, as far as my reading goes, I am in Jade City. I'm currently reading Jade City, and I've been struggling, not because of this book, but I've been struggling to read just because I have read so much already this month. I'm fairly burnt out. So I should be a lot further along because this has to be done by Friday. Our live show discussions at 4 p.m. my time on Friday. And I'm working for the next 3 days. So I know that's going to, it's gonna make things a little difficult. I'm currently on page 181. I've made progress, and on any other month, this would be good progress, but because I need to finish this book by Friday, I don't know. I just need to get more motivation to read at the moment because I just don't want to read. I just want to watch TV or do something else. I've been doing a lot of video editing, which feels better than reading at the moment. So I'm just like, come on, Amy, just read. Today, I plan on reading a good chunk of this because I know that I won't be able to read much in the next 3 days. So Amy, you have to read a lot today. And I'll take this with me to the doctor's office while I'm waiting. But I'll check in with you later to let you know what the next game is gonna be and to give you like a wrap up of the week. What exactly happened this week? What did I complete? What are my thoughts so far in Jade City? Like, I'll do that later on today. And then this week will be over. Pretty wild. The time is just flying in January. Okay, so it's been an eventful day for someone who has been very uneventful lately, aside from going to Swinomish. I just haven't been up to that much lately because I've been starting to get sick again. But I did go to the doctor's, and I'm going on another round of prednisone, so it worked last time. My cough was going away pretty quickly, but then I got COVID. So let's hope this gets better and I don't get anything else, because I seem to be catching things lately. Then we did some grocery shopping, and that was much needed. And then I went to the gym. I went straight to the gym after going grocery shopping, and Jordan and I kicked butt tonight. It was really good. We did chest and back, and then we did squats, and it was a good evening. Good first day back, although I can tell you already, I'm gonna be sore. I'm gonna be sore, so we'll see how that goes. I don't have any sub-plans yet for the class tomorrow, but the teacher's gonna be in the building. I know her, and I hope everything is gonna be fine. I'm just gonna make sure I get there early enough to go over anything I need to go over before the kids come in, and I'm excited. Second graders are a lot of fun. So it'll be fun to see what curriculum I'll be working with them. And yeah, I just really like second graders. They're a lot of fun. I haven't taught any classes of second graders, but I worked a lot with second graders when I was doing outreach with natural resources. So I got a chance to work with them for Salmon in the Classroom a lot, and that was a blast. Second graders are just so cute, very inquisitive, and I can't wait to see how it goes tomorrow. I'm sure it'll be great. And luckily, these kids were all my fifth graders, the class that I was student teaching in. They were their buddies, so I've met a lot of these kids. I've talked to a lot of these kids. I don't know all their names, but at least I have talked to them before, so hopefully a familiar face will work out for them. Then after the gym, I got home and I watched the live show to see what we have to expect for week 4, and here is what we found out.
I'm just gonna click it. We're gonna go fast. Can I take it back? Can I close the tab?
I'm being wrong.
Okay. Okay. I'm very good with that.
So I'm actually really excited about game board. I wanted to play game board during this round. I just didn't necessarily want it this week because I still need to work actively on Jade City, and I knew it would be harder to work on the game board with Jade City, but I have to continue this. So I'm gonna keep working on it. I'm currently 205 pages in, so not quite halfway, but I'm getting there. And I'll tell you about this. I don't know if I've actually told you anything about this yet, but I'll give you a synopsis here in a second. But before I do that, I wanted to quickly show you what the board looks like. This is the game board, and you start at start. And the way that cheerleaders help out is every time that we pass one of these gold stars, we give a gold star to the person who we're cheering for. So for me, it's Natalie from Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. And the stars help them by allowing them to skip forward one spot on the board when they roll. Or the competitor could choose to move back one spot, which makes sense strategically if you move back one spot and it's a book that you could read really quickly, or it's something that you already have planned and are partially through, or something along those lines. And then it would just be easier to finish that one, then move forward with however many you get with your next roll. So those are the options. We're helping them maybe get easier prompts. Or maybe skip some of these red spots where they have to go back on the board. See if they land on the red spot and they have a star from us, they can choose to move forward or back, which is great because you definitely don't want to get this far and then have to go back to start. You have to play as you go, so I won't know what my next book is until I finish the book prior. So I'm going to be moving along as I go, and hopefully I can get pretty far. So for Jade City, I am really enjoying this so far. I feel like it's incredibly readable. I feel like the characters are very interesting. My only issue right now has been that my reading has been difficult. I just haven't felt like reading too much. And so the progress that I could be making on this, and I think my enjoyment of it, could be a lot higher if I wasn't already feeling a little burnt out. I'm having a really good time going every 3 chapters into our Bookstar Discord and chatting about it, hearing what other people have to say, giving my thoughts and opinions, because there's so much that happens in this book. There's a lot of politics and dynamics and many different characters and a lot of moving pieces, and a war is beginning. So you're kind of like, whoa, what's going on? What's influencing this? Who's influencing that? Who do we have to be careful of? And I really love that. There's a huge aspect of family dynamic in this because we're following the 3 main Call siblings, which are the head of the No Peak clan. And I know that I talked about this a little bit, but I wanted to give a bit of a broader scope now that I'm further along in this. And of these siblings, I think I already mentioned what roles they play within the clan. But I will say that personality-wise, we have Lan, who is the steady one. He's the steady one. He's very cautious. As the pillar, I think this makes the most sense. I don't know if it's going to benefit him in a war, because a lot of people within the Greenbone clans judge you based on your ability to be a fighter, to be strong, to be a warrior. And I don't think that necessarily is the biggest benefit when you're thinking bigger terms, when you're thinking long-term plans, when you're thinking of more strategic goals. A lot of times Hilo, who is the younger brother and he's our horn, he's our warrior, he thinks about his small-term goals. He thinks about making sure they're not being disrespected, but from minor things. Whereas Lan has to think of the bigger picture. He has to think of what is going to be the best for all of us. And I think that that makes him an interesting character. And I see how his personality, his calmness, his more thoughtfulness, his needing to think about the broader picture, needing to think about the morals and what is right and wrong in all these situations. I think that that behooves him better to be a better overall leader. And then of course we got the younger sister who, you know, she is someone who would be incredibly beneficial to the clan, but she wants to remove herself from the clan goings on as much as possible. She has helped them with something at this point, and it shows that her skills are incredible and she would be a huge benefit to the clan. But for some reason, she really wants nothing to do with it. She doesn't want to wear Jade. She doesn't want to be a part of the clan. And that is going to be a problem, I think, going forward. It's going to be a problem for the family dynamic. I think it could make her life endangered. I think it could make her a liability for the family. I see a lot of issues with it. And so I understand where she's coming from, but it is tricky. It's really tricky. And that's the thing, like family dynamics. Do you have a choice when your family is one of the most important Jade Greenbone clans within the nation that you live in? There's also a nephew who isn't blood related, but he was adopted into the family. And I'm really liking his character. This is Andon. He's currently in school to learn how to be a Greenbone. You have to be trained for many, many years to be a Greenbone who can handle the power of the Jade, because the Jade can totally overwhelm you very easily. Jade is very, very dangerous, and in the wrong hands, it can be incredibly dangerous. And we're seeing in this book where desire for Jade and the desire for people from other countries that are enthralled by Jade, like that supply and demand aspect is coming into play quite a bit. And it's very possible that the wrong people are getting their hands on Jade and should not have the ability to access this. And one of the big questions, of course, is it better to have a hand in regulating it, or is it better to try and avoid it altogether? Who's going to end up being in more trouble if you're not on the right side when it comes to how exporting and stuff happens when it comes to Jade? Because it's going to become a bigger issue whether they like it or not. And how is the Call family going to react to what is coming when it comes to Jade and the other clans and what they're doing? Because you have no control over what the other clans are doing. There's rules, there's regulations on what the clans are supposed to do, but there's also ambition. There's also ambition. So I am very excited to continue on with this, and I am enjoying it. Like when I talk about it, I'm like, yeah, I'm so into it. I just don't want to have to rush through it, and I feel like I have to rush through it to get it done by Friday. So tonight I'm going to read as much as I can before I go to sleep, and then I'll take it with me, so maybe during lunch or something tomorrow I can read for a little bit, although I'm not usually very good at reading during my breaks when I sub, because I'm usually looking at the plans for the rest of the day and planning and making sure everything is situated so that when the kids do come back from lunch or wherever they go, I'm ready to move forward with whatever lessons we have coming after those breaks that we get. All right, so that's pretty much it for this week. I am listening to an audiobook, but I'm going to update you on that audiobook in the next vlog, so we'll talk about that later. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've read Jade City and what you thought about it. I know a lot of people absolutely love this series, and I don't want to make it sound like I'm not loving it. I am. I just know that right now is not a good time for me to be working through a really heavy fantasy, just because my brain is like a noodle. It's a noodle. Also, let me know in the comment section down below what you've been reading this past week. Have there been any 5 stars? Anything that you think that we would all benefit by knowing about so that we can maybe read it for ourselves at some point? If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens on week 4 when I play the game board. I'm very excited about the game board. I just don't know how far I'm going to get because this is my priority right now. So this is going to happen before anything else happens. I mean, I can probably start reading a little bit of the game board here and there, but I don't think I can read much of the books from that. I have to work on this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.